Hi everybody, I'm SS the Showstopper and I'm over on the Devil Advocate channel. Today is the 7th of October in the year of our Lord 2022. Ah, today I am going to give a little history lesson. Someone suggested that I speak on history a little bit. I'm not too bright. And so ever so often I try to do some research. I try to read a little, just a little. I try to read just a little to know what's happening and what's about to take place. So I'll read. As a little girl growing up, there was a book that I attached myself to, and it was The Student Companion. For some strange reason, I just liked that book. In a particular section of it, it was like a partial encyclopedia, a little research material. And there was a part in the Student Companion that I really liked, and it was the proverbs that were in the Student Companion. And one of the proverbs was, study the past to know the future. It didn't say study the past to predict or to foretell, but you study the past to know the future. You have to research on what took place in the past to have an idea of what's taking place or what's about to take place. Now, did you know that the first serial killer was a Jamaican? I repeat, did you know that the first serial killer was a Jamaican? The term serial killer was applied in the 1970s because of a man, an American, by the name of Theodore, I think it's Theodore Robert Bundy or Robert Theodore Bundy, who was tried and convicted for the murder, the raping and killing of around 37 women, including a 9-year-old child. So that was how the term serial killer came into effect. But if we're going by the term in and of itself, the first serial killer was a Jamaican. My reason for speaking on this is the rate of crime in the country. It's not just alarming, but it's sending a signal. It's sending a signal. We study the past to know the future. Henry Morgan was a buccaneer. All buccaneers are thieves. All buccaneers are criminals. Many are murderers. But Henry Morgan became a governor in Jamaica. And he was a buccaneer. Back to the first serial killer being a Jamaican. There was a man by the name of Louis Hutchinson. Louis Hutchinson lived in Jamaica, became a Jamaican. He was born in 1733, I think. He was born in 1733, and he died in 1773. He became a Jamaican, but he was born in Scotland. He became a Jamaican, living in Jamaica. And what Louis Hutchinson did was lure travelers, sojourners, to a place. And when he lured them, he murdered them. And he disposed of them in a very deep sinkhole. That's out in St. Anne. There's a place in St. Anne by the name of Hutchinson's Hole, named after Louis Hutchinson. 1733 is what? The time of slavery in Jamaica. So yes, we're talking about a white Caucasian man living in Jamaica, became a Jamaican, and he was the first known serial killer. He lured travelers and he murdered them. Some were never found. He was tried and hanged. He was sentenced to death for his crime. So there's a very dark, gloomy, dismal cloud that hangs over the island when it comes to crime. Study the past to know the future. The great Henry Morgan became a governor. A governor is someone who represents who? The governor. Governor is someone who represents the queen. I think it's a queen on the island. A governor general represents the queen, the queen's land, the crown's land. That's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful position one can hold in Jamaica. And it was held by a buccaneer. Study the past to know the future. It therefore means that a lot of things that are taking place in Jamaica as it relates to crime, the persons behind it are in position of power. We have seen it time and time again where people come out and people speak on this, people speak on that. Many have to hide their faces. They were given illegal weapon, illegal gun, and they can't speak on where they get it from, because if they call anybody's name, they will automatically incriminate themselves. So they will be admitting that, yes, I use it to do this. Yes, it was caught in my possession, which is a charge on you in and of itself. Then if you admit or you explain or you tell where you got it from and who gave it to you, then, that person have enough resource to hire a very powerful attorney, can represent him, who can denounce all your argument, who can refute such claim. And then you're still going to prison for illegal possession of firearm, and if possibly murder or robbery, if it's connected to any of it. So that's one of the reasons a lot of people are silent. Study the past to know the future. There's a book written by Thomas Sowell. I think it's written by Thomas Sowell. It's called Black Rednecks, White Liberal. Black Rednecks, White Liberals. And it speaks on the behavior and culture of the black community. Anywhere. The behavior and culture of the black community is an adopted behavior, whether it be good or bad. It's an adopted behavior. And it speaks on many ethnic groups that had the same cultural practices, the same ills, the same criminal behavior and mindset. So it's nothing new. Mentally displaced people will behave a certain way because their backs are forever against the wall. So they are not living, they are merely surviving. I remember Dr. Umar Johnson was recently on, I think it was a podcast, and he was speaking on the Italians in the U.S., the Irish in the U.S., and all of these ethnic groups, these Caucasian groups of people or nation, and how they got their ease or they got liberated, because when they went to the Americas, they committed the same crime as a black community. They did the same thing, the same extortion, the same killings, the same high crime. It was drugs, it was bootlegging alcohol, all these kind of things from the Al Capone, all these names that come up in history. And he spoke on them getting a stimulus package of Italians controlling the fire department, who control police force, who control this, who control that, who control this. They got a stimulus package and saying that the black community didn't get any. And so because the black community didn't get any, their black people back is forever against the wall, and they're just skipping around survival instinct as they go along, and all different ethnic groups plague or put things in the black community for their backs to be further against the wall. So they have to fight, they have to be strategic, they have to go in survival mode at all times, trying to survive instead of just living. Study the past to know the future. As a black community, I want to say this. I just want to say this. If there is no help and if there is no stimulus package, at some point in time, we ourselves have to develop something. At some point in time, black people are going to have to come together. That's the greatest contributor factor to the demise of the black community, not coming together. The art, black community has mastered the art of separation. Once you mention coming together, big red flag. Okay, we will respect, we will this, we will that, we will that. Once you mention come together, big red flag. It's like something go off. It's like a trigger word, come together. It's like a trigger term. We ain't coming together because this and that and this and that and all these kind of things, and we don't like each other, and this man that and that man this and all these kind of things. But what are you going to do? You're not going to get the stimulus package that you're hoping for. Somebody's going to have to be at the bottom. Somebody is going to have to be at the bottom. Somebody has to have that feel good about themselves on someone else's behalf. And if we refuse to be at the bottom, we are going to have to do something about it, because we're not going to get that stimulus package. Study the past to know the future. Anything that's happening right now have been taking place for eons. There has never been a time throughout history where all men on earth were seen as equal. Someone was always deemed inferior or less. The stimulus package that we're waiting on to be liberated, to get our 40 acre and a mule, to get our start, so it can be an ease, a relief for the black community. It's not going to come. The manna not going to fall from the sky. It's not going to come. Study the past to know the future. The past is very dark on the island. It's not bright. We didn't come, our ancestors didn't come to be bankers, to be attorneys, to be leaders. They came to be slaves, hewers of wood, drawers of water. And in order to not be hewers of wood, drawers of water, they had to fight. Many fight until death. And then locomotives came in, and Sam Sharp, and they said, okay, slavery is needed no more, so let's liberate these people, let's give these people their freedom, let's abolish slavery and stuff like that. And there were many people across the globe that didn't support slavery. But in reference to the crime that's taking place in the island, we have to study the past and see what happened, what is taking place, and see how we can stop it. How can we curtail it? How can we not suppress it? How can we curtail? How can we minimize? Somebody has to come together, whether we like it or not, or every single one of us will know the immediate effect of crime. Nobody will be safe. As a matter of fact, nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Study the past to know the future. The past is very, very sad, very dark. And in order to move away from it, in order to acknowledge what's taking place, so we can move away from it. Somebody has to come together. Somebody has to say, okay, I lost my brother. I know that John over there killed my brother, but I'm willing to forgive. What are we going to do? If we study the past, nobody forgave. Nobody was willing to move on. It was always a fight. It's always a fight. It's always. And there are criminal elements in high powers. That's basically my point. Criminal elements in high powers. And it's designed. That's why I said study the past to know the future. It is all designed for you to behave a certain way. For you to behave a certain way. We realize that our stimulus package is not going to come. I am sorry. I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I read the 48 Laws of Power. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. But I have to let you know the manna that you're waiting waiting on to fall from the sky, the liberator, the stimulus package, the wholesome leader that person is not coming. We're gonna have to fight and find a way to do it. Remember Lee Kuan Yew? Remember Singapore? We have to fight. We have to find a way where we can get out of this survival and start living this survival. I'm not saying we. You are living. Many people are living like brute beasts and not like human beings. And it is designed that way. And you're falling into the trap. There's a trap and you're falling into it. Study the past to know the future. I urge everyone to read the book, Black Rednecks, White Liberals, by Thomas Sowell. The past is very, very dark. But one thing we're all waiting for, I hope Dr. Umar Johnson understands that the stimulus package that he's hoping the black community get, you will not get it because someone has to be inferior, basically. Someone has to be placed inferior. Somebody has to be placed in that inferiority mode for others to survive. They could have just eliminated. I always say when I was a little girl, why didn't just eliminate all of us? Why did they have to let people be slaves and let people? Because they need someone to do the dirty work. And in 2022, someone is still needed to do the dirty work. And every single person is doing the dirty work. Whether we are victims of it or whether we are the perpetrator, somebody is needed to do the dirty work. We have to find a way. We hate that trigger term, come together, but I'm sorry. We're just going to have to come together and take ourselves, work together, take ourselves out of this cycle of high crime. I spoke on crime before on another video, but nothing is changing, and it's so sad. It's so sad. We're living in a society of moral decadence, and I wish that at some point in time everybody will see themselves. There's no brotherly love, there's no sisterly love. Study the past to know the future. We need more brotherly love and we need more sisterly love. We need to look at each other, and when we look at each other, we see love, we see care, we see respect. The thing is that when we look at each other, we're looking at, him look too cute, him look like, him would my woman would like him, she look too good, she look like my man would want her, the nose the too straight, the skin the too brown, the smuddy the too dark, that too fat. We need to stop looking at each other like that. It is a programmed mentality. It's a social construct. And somebody's needed to think like that so others can benefit. We need to start living. You can study the past and see how dangerous it was. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Food for thought. That's enough on the history lesson. We need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you. And we all need to strive to be the change that we want to see. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.